Welcome back to Action Figure Obsession on the Avian and Loaded channel. It's me, your old pal Avian and Loaded, and here are five figures in my X-Men collection that I think are underappreciated and kind of adored by me just because of the characters and or the designs. Um, it's a motley crew. Yeah, they don't really necessarily go together. We have three X Men and two. One, three X Men, one villain, and one sort of. I don't know if Gwenpool was ever actually a member of the X Men, but I don't really know too much about her. I just dig the figure, but we'll get into that. First of all, we'll start with this guy. There is a European comic character called Fantomas, Fantomas, and he is a man of mystery and an adventurer and kind of a detective and a bunch of other things. And whoa, I knew that was going to happen. The toad was. Oh, he'll stand up that way. Okay, all right, maybe he's a little better going that way. He was. Okay, there we go. There we go. It's all coming down. All coming down now. Oh, Dazzler, Dazzler, Dazzler. She characters with roller skates are a bit problematic, as you can imagine. I'm gonna just try to reassemble this in real time. See how I do. Wolverine can be my sort of anchor here, old man Logan, because he's fairly solid. All right, so Phantom X. When Grant Morrison took over writing X-Men, he created that co-created New X-Men with artist Frank Quitely and Igor Kordy and a few other artists that kind of rotated back and forth in I think it was the early 2000s. Basically, Grant Morrison clone stamped Fantomas, the European comic book character, and brought him into the Marvel universe as Phantom X. And I'm here for a superhero in a trench coat all day long, even if it is this trench coat that Hasbro, first molded in well, I think it was this century, but 2010 maybe. I think it was first used on a Nick Fury figure. Um, and This is one of my favorite Marvel Comics character designs that wasn't created by Jack Kirby or Steve Ditko. And it is somewhat based on Fantomas. I don't know how it is that they got away with it or if they had to pay somebody off at some point to continue to use Phantom X in the comics. But I think he looks pretty good. This is the second Phantom X figure that was released in the Marvel Legends line. The first one was in the very early days of Hasbro. I think it might have even been in the Return to Marvel Legends or the Epic Heroes wave. So when they first started focusing again on the 6-inch waves and the Build-A-Figure waves, 6-inch figure waves, they did do Phantom X. I think he was probably still appearing regularly in the comics at the time and was new on the scene. And I've had that figure, and it was a very, very janky figure with those ball jointed hips that, you can't really pose in any way, shape, manner, or form. Um, and I will tell you, this is a Bucky Cap upgrade. The upgrade for Phantom X is Bucky Cap, which means basically that he looks good. But, posability wise, between the fact that it's Bucky Cap and he's got this web gear strapped on him around his waist and legs, that's all connected. And I don't keep the pistols in the holsters. There are holsters under the coat, but if you put those pistols in the holsters, they will warp. So I just let him hold the pistols all the time, which makes him look more badass anyway. But yeah, this was released relatively recently, I think within the last 4 or 5 years, in a 2-pack with Psylocke. That Psylocke certainly has been supplanted since then in the minds of Psylocke fans by the Marvel vs. Capcom Gamerverse Psylocke, which apparently is the one that everybody wanted and everybody is very excited about. I personally don't care about Psylocke as a character. I really didn't. I was out of X-Men, reading X-Men by the time she came along. Um, I mean, if there was a really great Psylocke figure that, especially if it was on the for the Uncanny X Force team, which is why they really, I think the two pack. Now that I'm thinking about it, the two pack was for Psylocke and Phantom X, yeah, Phantom X, and I think she might have been in her X Force outfit. Now that I think about it, I don't remember clearly because I really don't care about Psylocke. Sorry, all you Psylocke fans. Hashtag justice for Psylocke. But anyway, I only got this. I think I got this loose at Replay Toys down in Burnt Hills, New York, um, for a good price, maybe $15 or $20. I enjoy the outfit. I enjoy the idea of Phantom X, that he's sort of this off the grid, not quite on board. I think the Question or Snake Eyes or Deadpool. I mean, it's the same sort of genre of, even if he's on a team, he's still on his own. You know what I mean? Um, and again, I'm just a sucker. I'm just a sucker for a guy in a trench coat on a superhero team. I love it. I will love it every time. The head sculpt is greatly improved over that first Hasbro Phantom X, which I can't even begin to tell you how shitty a figure that was. So glad I don't have it in my collection, and so glad that I do have this one. Now, the Toad here is, from Magneto's Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. He was one of the first X-Men villains, a Jack Kirby creation through and through. And this version of the Toad came out in 2022. It is the Hasbro Marvel Legends 20th anniversary Wave 1, Series 1 sort of tribute retro figure that they did, which is also where we got the 20 years Captain America. So this Toad and this Captain America were actually wave mates back in 2022 with the Marvel Legends Series 1 20th anniversary figures, along with a very, very good Incredible Hulk and a very good Steve Ditko sort of Mark III Iron Man armor. And unfortunately, they did not continue that series. I wish they had. I'm really not sure why they didn't, other than maybe it was always just planned to be a one-off, but it would have been nice if we had gotten some more, upgraded figures that were, in homage to the early Toy Biz stuff, because that early Toy Biz Marvel Legends stuff back in 2002 was absolutely revolutionary. If you weren't there and you see the figures now, you probably cannot imagine it. But boy, they were such a breakthrough and such a step forward. And the Toad here, despite the fact that he is a Jack Kirby character, a Jack Kirby creation, one of Magneto's original Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, this is based on, as I understand it, Rob Liefeld's depiction of the Toad in some of his X comics, and I am okay with that. The interesting thing about the original Toad in 2002 and the first ever wave of Marvel Legends that Toy Biz did was that that Toad figure was a very different thing compared to the Hulk, the Captain America, and the Iron Man that came in that wave, because they were all original new sculpts that were meant for the then debuting Marvel Legends line of action figures, a new thing, a new line of action figures. Whereas the Toad was actually something that they had left over from the previous line of X-Men figures that Toy Biz was doing. It did not have the same level of articulation that the Toy Biz Marvel Legends, the other three figures in that wave, had. It was not a great looking figure for a lot of people, because it was really very mythological looking, very Middle Ages looking, very Jack Kirby's Toad. Now, of course, being the lifelong Kirby fan that I am, but at the time I didn't appreciate it for what it was. Now I realize what they were doing, and I mean, yes, they were being cheap because they were reusing a mold that they already had on hand, or using a mold that they just had never utilized. But damn, it looked like Kirby's artwork, and I do wish that I had kept it. But I also am very happy to have this sort of Rob Liefeldian. Look at that face. I mean, that face definitely looks like Liefeld's artwork, right? Except I'll show you his feet. Robbie will never do that. But It also came with a tongue-free head. He has another head where it's just his face, and I'm trying to remember the expression. It's a little less maniacal looking than this one, I think. Um, at the time that this came out, when I first picked up the Wave, I went back and forth like with in 2002 with the original Series One of Marvel Legends. I went back and forth on whether to get the Toad or not, but I was so impressed with the Captain America and with the Iron Man and with the Hulk that I wanted to have the whole set. And in fact, I think I had doubles at one point. I had a set loose and a set up on the wall. This is the only Toad that I have now. Um, but at the time, because of the skinny limbs that he has, he's very thin and lanky. Even though he's also somewhat short and has a bit of a pot belly. But at the time, I thought before I ever opened him up that he was a reuse of the Pizza Spidey body, and I think maybe the forearms, maybe the biceps, maybe even the shoulders might be Pizza Spidey. It's possible, but I could be wrong about that too. But the giveaway that it's not holy Pizza Spidey, is you see the wrinkles there on the shins and on the knees and elsewhere on all over his torso. Pizza Spidey did not have those wrinkles, and I've never seen another figure on this body mold that had those wrinkles. So the Toad, I believe, was at least probably 80% new sculpt. Now he has the wall crawling hands, basically style pose hands, which could be from Pizza Spidey. I don't see a lot of wrinkles or indicators on them that they're not. But obviously the collar piece is new and I think glued on. But that looks good. I love the color on it. These colors are not colors that I would have ever said, oh, I need an action figure in lilac and I don't know, burnt umber, whatever this is, yellowish orange, almost school bus yellow, but with a lot of shading. That's another hallmark of that 20 years or 20th anniversary line from 2022 is the shading on all of the figures. You see Captain America. Look at the red stripe in the center of his torso there. That has shading on it. There's shading all over his scale mail there. There was a lot of shading was uncharacteristic even then for Hasbro. They really knocked the four figures in that 2022 20th anniversary of Marvel Legends wave. They knocked them out of the park. They really did. The tongue is absolutely disgusting. Look at the texture. I mean that's a tongue, right? I mean it's pretty shiny, but it's also probably pretty slimy because hey, it's the Toad. He's got his little nubbins on his wrists and his ankles. Um, I think the belt is probably new because I can't remember a belt like that on a character this thin before. He's got that Toad booty. There it is. Whoop, there it is. Uh, I don't know, man. I really enjoy having this figure in my X-Men display. I don't have a Brotherhood of Evil Mutants setup per se with Magneto and the Toad and Wanda and Pietro and who else I mean the original Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, as in the very first time we saw them in X-Men. I think Toad and Magneto are the only two that I have from that lineup. Other than the Scarlet Witch that I have in my Avengers display, but that's the good guy Scarlet Witch, not the evil mutant Scarlet Witch. Um, so yeah, I mean, I'm really, I think I like of all these figures you see here. I think Toad and Phantom X are probably my favorite, uh, and so Toad rewards me for saying that by knocking everybody over. All right. Trying to make this work with the new lighting setup here, Toad. So get a grip. All right, so Gwenpool. You remember Deadpool fever? When the world was gripped by Deadpool fever. I guess it still is, kind of, sort of. Um, Gwenpool. There was a time when Spider-Gwen and Deadpool were the two hottest tickets in town, comics-wise. And I don't know the story. Somebody invented Gwenpool. And I think we all assumed that, and then maybe even this was the mystery at the center of her character when when she first came on the scene. We all assumed she was some sort of mashup of Spider-Gwen, who was, a variant of Gwen Stacy that became a superhero, and Deadpool. But turns out Gwenpool is actually a character from an alternate Earth named Gwen Poole, Poole, Gwen Poole, and she was a huge fan of comic books and knows everything about the Marvel Universe and somehow found her way in the Marvel Universe. And it's just a cool design. She's a cool looking character, Gwenpool. Uh, it's a lovely matte finish on this figure. I found it at a Walgreens. I didn't think I wanted a Gwenpool. Was shopping looking for Marvel Legends exclusives at Walgreens one day. She got a backpack that's removable, and her swords go in the backpack. You can see slots there for her swords, but the problem with that is that her swords are painted and they leave residue behind. So I have her swords packed away in a baggie by themselves, and I don't know. I'm just seeing now the slot on the front of her belt there. You see that little slot there? Come on, come on. There it is, right there in the center of the screen. That's for the cell phone that she came with. And I'll be damned if I can remember what happened to that either. I got to look and see if I can find the baggie for her accessories. Maybe best case no, you son of a bitch. Best case scenario, maybe her cell phone. I thought that belt should be down a little lower. Okay, there we go. That's where her belt should have been all along. She got the G belt buckle for Gwenpool, of course. Given the FU symbol for you UK viewers. It's a small figure. I mean, I don't know. I think Gwenpool is a teenager. I think she's very tiny, even compared to Logan. Logan's taller than she is, but she's just she's a fun figure, and one of my favorite. Sorry about the. I shouldn't have gotten these guys all posed up because it's just making my life a living hell now. Anyway, Gwenpool is a fun figure, a character that was created to be fun, and obviously a part of the greater. If you think about her as a Spider-Gwen variant, she sort of, could be considered part of the greater Into the Spider-Verse kind of milieu, if you will. But yeah, these are all, again, the theme here really is just X-Men figures that I'm really glad are in my collection, even though they're not ones that anybody is willing to spend $100 for or is super excited about. I just think they're all fun. Old Man Logan here came in a 2-pack with Old Man Hawkeye, the head of which is on Kazar at the moment, that Old Man Hawkeye, and the body of which is here too, but he has Kazar's head on him just to keep everybody's pegs and peg holes, functioning properly. But that's the old head. So these two figures came together is what I'm trying to tell you. Ignore this head. It was a 2-pack, the Old Man Hawkeye and Old Man Logan 2-pack. Logan came with a baby Hulk. Oh, I should have dug him out. I'm so sorry. I didn't dig out the baby Hulk. He came with a little baby Hulk, all swaddled up in a blanket. And he did come with claw hands, but I prefer him with just he did not like to use the claws. In the Old Man Logan story, he had retired from being a superhero at that point. Look at the face. Look at that face. It's Amish Wolverine, everybody. I mean, how can you not love this? The hat is not removable, unfortunately, but he did also come with an unmasked head, or with an unhatted head, I should say, an old man head. Another Old Man Logan head, which was also used for the standalone Old Man Logan figure in the jacket. In fact, this body is the original Old Man Logan figure. I think that the standalone one came first, and then they just added the duster and this new head. And this was also reused for the civilian Logan that came in the 2-pack with Sabretooth in 2024, which I have that one as well. And it's funny, I think this is basically the same body, even the same color scheme. Certainly the shirt, that sort of burgundy shirt, that's the one that is also on the single-carded, or the 2-pack one with Sabretooth. I love the level of detail on the duster. Can you see all the holes and the tatters? along the shoulder piece. I'm sure there's a name for that. The piece that goes around your shoulders on a duster, but I don't know what it is. And then you see all the tattering here. The figure, oh, see, the figure would have benefited greatly from some paint. That ring should have been painted. Obviously, that's meant to be, silver or bronze or gold color. And there's a little bit of shading here, if you can see that on the back, the shoulders there, where the sort of weathering of the leather. I can see that, but it's all on the top half, and there's nothing down here. So this is just cheap brown plastic. That is really the shame right there. That's the sin of Hasbro. That is what they're going to have to account for on Judgment Day, my friends, because all it took was painting that ring to make this into a high-end collectible. Oh, and there's one over here too. See, fucking Hasbro, man. But despite all that, they did paint his silver buttons there on the front of the jacket of the duster there. I'll give them that. I will give them that. But they should have used that same silver paint on those effing rings on the back of his duster. That would have pulled this piece together and really, really, really made it top notch. But despite Hasbro's failure, which they always choose to fail, despite Hasbro's failure with the duster and with the painting those rings, I'm going to forgive it because at the end of the day, Old Man Logan is one of my favorite versions of Wolverine. I love the Old Man Logan comics. I think all of them. I think I like every Old Man. I think there's been one or two miniseries, and then there was an ongoing series. And for a while, when regular Wolverine was dead in the Marvel Universe, Old Man Logan came back in time, and he filled in for Wolverine. Basically taking over his place in the X-Men, and Wolverine just by himself is grumpy enough, but Old Man Wolverine, oh come on, look at that face, my God, you should have painted those rings, Hasbro, but it's still a victory, it's still a win. And finally, the Disco Dazzler. If you were reading Chris Claremont, John Byrne, and Terry Austin's amazing, landmark, world-changing, comic-changing, forever run of Uncanny X-Men in the late 1970s and early 1980s, you remember Disco Dazzler, and you certainly remember this look for her. Real name, Allison something. I can't remember Allison's last name. Sorry, Allison. This is clearly based on what I think was Dave Cockrum's design. The hairdo, the Farrah Fawcett hairdo, and the eye paint are both very reminiscent of everything Dave Cockrum was doing back then. Dave Cockrum was the artist who immediately preceded John Byrne on Uncanny X-Men. He was the first artist to draw the new relaunch of X-Men in Giant Size X-Men #1, and then when the title was revived with number 94 and was no longer a reprint book. So, this figure has got to be close to 10 years old now, I think. I'm very impressed at how the white has held up. I think it's all ABS, the white parts, which is a harder plastic, and it tends to, it can get brittle and fragile over time, but this one really hasn't. It's still in very nice shape. A little silver paint on those skates would have gone a long way, I think. They did put silver paint on her necklace, her disco ball necklace, and I think that would have helped with the skates. But, she was discovered by the X-Men playing in a club I think it was during the Dark Phoenix saga, actually, and that was Dazzler's introduction to the Marvel Universe in the 616 in the comics. And, she went on to have a different costume and was part of the Savage Land X-Men storyline that everybody gets so worked up about. I've never read it. I was out of reading X-Men comics by that time, I think. But I think this is the second or third time that I've had Dazzler, because I know I've purged her from my collection at least once, but god damn it, look at her. Look, the fact that she exists, that you have a disco singer. I wouldn't even care. I don't even care that she was in the X-Men, really, or that she was a mutant. Just the fact that she's in a disco jumpsuit. She's got the little microphone there, which, by the way, is removable, and I have lost countless times. It falls out of her wrist or out of her grip way too easily. But I hands and knees every time. I cannot lose that microphone. That is just the greatest friggin' thing. And then let's see if I can do this without knocking anybody down. I recently, as you may know, gave her. Okay, I knocked down one guy. It's okay. Um, Gave her some backup singers. Tell me these don't look like Dazzler's backup singers. With these two Beyonder figures, that I call Starsky and Hutch in heaven. Um, yeah, Dazzler gets some backup singers for her disco act. But the fact that it's a Dave Cockrum design, like so many great X-Men characters, like Nightcrawler, like Colossus, like Storm's original costume, uh, many of the characters that debuted during the Dave Cockrum era, before John Byrne took over the artwork, have costume designs that still to this day are iconic. And I don't know that Dazzler's costume is necessarily iconic, but it is striking and it is definitely of a time, and of a time that I was reading comics and loving comics, and I was like, what the hell? Why is there a disco singer in my X-Men comics? Um, but they made it work. They absolutely made it work. The solo disco book, or Disco Dazzler book, the Dazzler book, I did buy number one. The first issue of that comic was a huge deal, and I think there was like a record deal, and they had like a fake album with somebody singing her songs and all that stuff. Does she have shading in her hair? I don't think she does. She should have had some shading in her hair. Should have had some shading in her hair. Even a 10-year-old figure, you can easily see the spots, the skates, the hair, where Hasbro cheaped out, and they could have really knocked this one out of the park. And yet they gave her the microphone, they gave her the paint on her disco ball necklace. That is very clearly look at. I'm sure that's made of the same plastic as the microphone, so you can see the difference immediately, right? The ball of the microphone, like the top of it, that should have been painted too. Um, Look at me solving all Hasbro's mistakes only a decade later. But yeah, he really doesn't want to stand up. What can I do about his feet here? All right, that's a little better. Okay, so yeah, we'll leave the pips here in the shot. Get everybody back together for one last class photo. So this is kind of my apology for not doing the X-Men week that I had promised a few weeks ago, but lots been going on, and my foot is still healing. But I did get a request for X-Men stuff yesterday, and I did want to show off something a little different than your usual, Cyclops and Jean Grey and regular costume Wolverine and all that. So these, basically these five, Phantom X and Gwenpool and the Toad and Dazzler and Old Man Logan. He's a grumpy old man yelling at a cloud. Um, just wanted to share these with you. They are five of my most cherished X-Men figures in my Marvel Legends collection. They really are. I think when Dazzler goes back on my X-Men shelf, the pips are going to go with her. I think it's time for them to leave the work table. I have not come up with any better ideas for those two Beyonder figures, and I don't give a shit about the Beyonder at all. So I think that they are now going to permanently be Dazzler's backup singers, and that will get a couple more figures off the work table, which is kind of an ongoing uh, sort of plan B of these videos. Is as I come up with some ideas, brought to you by, um, just to when I do hit on something, oh, this is great for this, and it sticks, and I don't really ever change my mind, as I have not with Starsky and Hutch here. Um, that's kind of, so I guess that's the graduation program. If they last long enough, and if I like them, how they look in their new kit bashed form, they're going back into a display in that form, because I gotta get some of these figures off this table. Sooner or later there's going to be some more figures coming in here, and they got to have a place to hang out. While I'm getting used to them and breaking them in and everything. So yeah, this has been my five most cherished, undervalued X-Men Marvel Legends here on Action Figure Obsession. I appreciate you spending a half an hour of your day with me. I always appreciate your time. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you disliked it, like grumpy old man Logan over there, then certainly give it a thumbs down, or slash me with your adamantium claws. And leave a comment if you have any questions, or tell me your 5 favorite sort of underappreciated X-Men Marvel Legends. And subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you find out anytime I upload a new action figure obsession video on the Avian and Loaded channel. Thanks again for stopping by, and I'll see you on the next action figure obsession.